One of the challenges we've had back in the day is that I'm the ideas person. I'll have a million ideas every day, and then I'll throw them at my team, and they'll just be like, oh my gosh, all of these changes. So then they're trying to do all these changes. The next week I'm like, no.
Wyndi Tagi,
international speaker, business coach, and co-founder of Wimana, a multi-million-dollar accounting and business advisory.
Her visionary leadership empowers Maori and Pacific communities to thrive.
Do you feel that you were mentally prepared to go into business?
I think I went into business completely naive.
Yeah.
Completely naive. If you look back and you don't cringe, then something is wrong. I definitely look back and look at it and think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? One time we lost about $250,000 worth of work because of one person who we'd hired on all sorts of promises that they could do something that they actually could not do.
How do you handle the stress? I would love to get into the scaling part. How did you do it? And are you still scaling? Okay, 12 hours of conversation and then we've got the answer. Do you have any sales tips?
I think first and foremost, you just have to believe in yourself. Stop making it about you, because when you are thinking, I don't want to sell, you're not thinking about the other person. You are only thinking about yourself. So I think get out of your head, get into your heart, and all you have to do is...
Quick one, Mina here. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. One thing that you can do for me is to please hit the subscribe button below. I promise you that if you hit subscribe, I'm going to work hard to make sure that my episodes are really good, that will get better and better. So, do we have a deal? Okay, back to the episode. Wyndi, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's so good that we have you on the podcast to talk about you, talk about all that you've been able to, who you are first, because who you are is really important, and who you belong to as your family, your background, your upbringing. I wanna find out from you what sort of upbringing you had that made you who you are today.
Yeah, good question. Daughter to an entrepreneur. Which go figure. Yeah, so, I mean, I think when I first was, before high school, kind of low socioeconomic, I would say. Just pretty basic. But yeah, very sporty. So my parents were very much into sport. I had to play sport. At one stage, I was playing 3 or 4 sports a week. Wow. And very much into the outdoors. My dad was a fisherman, so always on the water, catching fish, camping, those sorts of things, which was, a pretty cool upbringing that I had. And then from what I can remember when I started at high school, that's when my dad started his own business and things started to change for us economically. Suddenly our house was getting upgraded, the full-on renovation. My dad was in construction, so but obviously would have helped. So the house all of a sudden is getting done up. I started cycling, and that afforded me a brand new bike. And back then it was expensive, like $2,000 or $3,000 for a brand new bike. Business write-off, sponsorship, so... All of those types of things. And I guess one of the great things about my life growing up was with my dad being an entrepreneur, he was able to come and watch me cycle. So I spent lots of time going around the country riding my bike and races and stuff. And I remember one time particularly I was at the New Zealand Track Cycling Championships. It was in Christchurch. And I was down there by myself because my mum was working, my dad was working. And I made a final, and I rung home before the day before, and I was homesick, missed my parents. I was so used to having them as part of my process for getting ready for races. They'd always been there. It's the first time I'd kind of been away without them. And the next day, I was getting ready for my race. I'm on my trainer thingy, warming up, and my dad walked in the door. And it was pretty special.
Aww.
Yeah, so I think that kind of showed me what entrepreneurship can do. And so I think that's one of the little seeds that was placed in my mind to be like, I want to be able to do that for my family. So I guess that's kind of how the whole entrepreneurship thing started. And I'd always really known that I'd wanted to go into business. I just didn't really feel like I had a skill that I could sell or a product that I could sell. And so I really was totally unsure of how I was going to get into business. I just knew that that's what I needed to do.
Well, do you think that do you call it a gut instinct?
Yeah, I feel it is like this just intuition. I also feel like ancestrally, Māori people in particular, because I know more about their ancestry than I do about my Greek heritage and my European heritage. But they were entrepreneurs. So I feel like it was kind of in my DNA. It just had to be realized. And so, I just knew that was my path. But I didn't really realize it while I was at high school, and I didn't do business or anything like that. I actually thought I was going to go to the Olympics for cycling and be an athlete. That was what I thought I was going to do.
Nice.
But that didn't kind of pan out. That's okay.
Other things panned out.
Other things panned out. Better things panned out.
Better things panned out.
Yeah.
And what is the legacy that you're trying to leave here? I know this is a big question that we usually leave till the end for a final ending, but we like to start strong, so why not? Legacy, what is it, the mission that you're on?
So I think based on the struggles that I've faced, and also my husband's Samoan, and we're in business together. And one of the things that I guess has woven us together is our upbringings and the challenges that we faced, him as Samoan, me as wahine Māori. So just being a female and then also being Māori, there's so many different dynamics to that. And, I remember one time I was in the corporate space. I'd left my ex-husband, so solo mum, raising 2 sons on my own. I'm living out west. My parents are on the shore, so I didn't have much support around me. So when my kids were sick, I was it. And I remember this one time I was called into my manager's office, and that feeling that you have when you're just like, oh my gosh, okay, you open the door, you sit down, and then for her to tell me, you've had too many sick days, if you want to take any more, you've got to get a medical certificate. And I'm like, I work really hard every day when I'm here, and I'm only ever not here when I have to not be here. I can't send my kids to school sick. And that was another thing that kind of made me go, you know what, when I start my own business, I'm going to do things completely differently. And it's going to be more from a people perspective than a numbers perspective. And not that you can't have sustainability, and it's great that I married an accountant who understands finance. But for me, it was always going to be about the people impact and about growing a sustainable business, but by putting people first. And so,
How have you done it differently for your business then?
Sometimes I've put people before profit and, made difficult decisions or pivoted if I've needed to pivot. Not restructured when I probably should have restructured, could have gone ahead and fired people. And it's not that I haven't had to restructure, because I have. And that's been one of the most challenging parts of our job. But I've forgone like my salary so I can make sure my team can get paid. So I've been like, okay, how much do I need to get by? I'll just make sure that I've got enough, or we've got enough to pay what we need to pay, because I don't want to fire any of my team. So some of those things that we've done, and just really weaving our cultural values into our company. So family was always going to be one of our values, and even our clients, they say to us, they come to us because we understand family and we're all about family. And we know that most entrepreneurs go into business to have more time, to have more money, and usually the time is to spend with their families. Usually the money is so that they can spend it on their families or in their communities. So that's kind of the legacy that we want to leave. And particularly in the accounting industry, when we first started, it was very much not like what I look like, and even people who were Māori or Pasifika that were accountants or, either working for another firm or owned their own firms, the majority of them were still focusing on just normal, everyday small business owners. And when we started talking to an accounting firm in the Big Four and they were giving us advice, one of their advice was, don't spend so much time and money in your community. Stop spending so much time with your family. And I'd leave all of those sessions bawling my eyes out every single time. And I'd be like, this is not how I want to do business. There's got to be a better way. And so I basically just gave them the two fingers and went, I'm going to prove to you that I can spend as much money or time in my community as I want. And I want to spend time with my kids. That's important to me. That's why I went into business in the first place, reflecting back on my time in corporate. And so that's what I've done. We've been there for our kids. We've been on lots of travels overseas with them. And so for us, when we're working with business owners, is showing them how they can stay sustainable, but how they can still contribute in all of the areas that they still want to contribute and spend their time in the places that they want to spend their time in. And I guess that's really the legacy that we want to leave.
So you're talking about this lovely legacy of a different focus. It's not profits first, it's people first. What about the time when you actually do need to restructure, and then you genuinely do not need that many people to do a role, and you still care about the people, you still care about their families, but you genuinely need to pivot so that your business is functioning better? Have you had to be in that situation where you had to have that hard conversation with somebody and say, look, this is what's happening, we need to pivot, and so your role is no longer going to be available? But how, and if that is the case, you have had that, how have you been able to have that conversation given your value system?
Yeah. Yes, I've had to have that conversation, and more than once over the last 14 years. We have this thing at one of the reasons we called ourselves Mana is like the essence that you bring. It's like who you kind of innately are. And we say, that we want to enhance the mana of others. And so I believe that you can have a difficult conversation. I believe you can fire somebody, you can restructure somebody, and you can do it in a way that still upholds the other person's mana. So you still have them in your heart, you still love and appreciate them. And as long as it's for all of the right reasons and they can understand it, then they will get it. And the truth of it is, when you have to restructure, is it's either you or everybody, and it's like we have such a great team and this real love for each other that people will go, you know what, I get it. I totally understand. And then you help them however which way you can to find something that's going to be best suited to them, or they can help and to support them. So it's not okay, bye, see you later, sorry, but you're gone. There's definitely like a monarchia, a care and a love for how you do it, and then the support that you can offer once you've done it. It's the hardest thing, but all of the right intentions done with love and respect, and still upholding mana, super, super important.
Very important. Also, what's also important is for me to take you back quickly to your business idea. Do you feel that you were mentally prepared to go into business?
Oh, no.
Will anyone say yes to that question?
I think there probably are people that will say yes to that, but at the time I thought I was prepared for it. And this is the funny thing about it, and I laugh about it now because I think I went into business completely naive, but I feel like there was some good in that, because I really had this utmost belief that I could make this work, that this was just going to happen, that we could do whatever we wanted to do, however we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So was I prepared? I was as prepared as I needed to be, but I had a lot to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
If you think back to those few years in business, how do you see yourself now compared? Like, you know, you look at the Wyndi 10 years ago to 14 years ago, you know, going, oh yeah, this is what I used to be. What lessons do you think that you've been able to capture throughout those 14 years? You go, I've learned that lesson now, and this lesson, definitely that lesson. And I would have loved to have learned that, or would have loved somebody have told me that when I first started my business.
I reckon if you look back and you don't cringe, then something is wrong. I definitely look back and look at it and think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? My husband and I are very different. I'm visionary, innovative. So when I came in, I was looking at all of the things that were wrong in the accounting space and how we could fix it. My husband, he's in finance and he loves sales. So he would do the work, make sure the books were clean, and he'd go and sell us, basically. Where we are not any good, or hadn't been in the past, because we're definitely better now, is we did not like process. And so it was very much hire someone, just chuck them in the deep end and they'll figure it out. And sometimes they did. And sometimes they did not.
They sank.
But, you know, as soon as we had a good person who had it all sorted and they left, the next person came in and then they'd either sink or swim. There was like no continuity or consistency. And that really was not good for our clients.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't want to have to tell you again. I don't want to have to do this. You know, why aren't you doing what the other person did? Well, we didn't have any real proper processes and systems in place. And I just was not in the mood to try and write process. And neither was my husband. And I'm not an accountant. So it's not like I could write accounting process either.
Yeah.
So yeah, for many years we went processless. And I'm glad to say we've sorted it now. Great processes. But we learned that, one, telling ourselves we're not process people does not help. Like, you've got to tell yourself you're a process person. I am a process person. I can do this, because then you just get in and do it. Or you get someone who knows the process. Teach someone, get them to write the process, and then you check the process. Yeah. So, yeah, it really is very much about sort of what you say, but that would probably be one of the biggest.
How has it changed your business?
Well, this last 12 months, my husband and I spent 5 weeks on holiday overseas and we barely got a phone call. So I figure if we can do that, and then we've just this year spent about 4 weeks away. So I figure if we can do that, then there must be some pretty good process systems in place. Ellie and I don't have to really do so much in the business anymore. Everything's sort of documented. People can come in and pick up jobs or pick up clients and they know exactly what needs to be done. And we're constantly talking about how we can improve a process. And it's not like everything needs to be documented, just the real core stuff definitely to start with. And then you pick up all of the other bits as you go along. But it's definitely been the biggest focus for us over the last few years.
Remind me again, you are a staff of how many? A company of how many?
Oh, we have 7 of us in New Zealand, but we have about 3 that work for us permanently offshore. And then I have about 15 in Samoa.
Fantastic. So overall, you're responsible for
all of those people. 20 odd or whatever.
Does that make you nervous?
It's a privilege. It does. It doesn't really make me. Actually, it does make me nervous because I have to pay the bills. Like, you know, everything is riding on us.
How do you handle the stress?
I have a great husband who we vent to when we need to vent to. But I think when you have got processes and systems in place, we've got a great accountability chart. So everybody knows what their job is, what their KPIs are. It's all measured weekly. So I have data like you wouldn't believe. So I can kind of be on top of things without having to be everywhere. And it's very easier now to see when things are not going right, and you can pick it up really quickly and get on top of it. How
do you measure your KPIs in your systems?
We have it all in a system. Literally.
Like a digital way of doing things?
Yeah. So we use the EOS systems, the entrepreneurial operating system, and they have different apps that work with their system.
Right. Oh, I got you.
So all of our data goes into there. everything is visible. So all of my team can see our business plan, the numbers that we're trying to achieve, even our profits we're trying to achieve, like everything's visible. Everyone can see what everybody's role is, what everybody's KPIs are, and there's very green or very red boxes that will say whether you're on track or off track.
Wow.
So there's nowhere really to hide. And the great thing about it is Ali and I are also part of that. So you can see if we are not doing what we are supposed to do too, and they are allowed to hold us accountable as well.
That's so profound. I mean, just by you talking about the system, this process, this whole transformation for your business sounds like that it's worth every single penny that you've invested into it.
Every single penny.
Yeah.
It's
amazing, eh?
The time freedom that we've got now, I think some of our stress comes from the unknown. You know, you're worried about this and you're worried about that. And then when you actually see the data or you really look into it, you're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't really have that much to worry about. It's all very clear. So I'm like, okay, well, everything's green. I don't really need to worry.
Yeah.
I can sleep at night. Yeah. Which is all we want as an entrepreneur, right? Is to sleep at night. So, the only time I really have to worry is when I start seeing red. Yeah. And then that's when you start to figure out what you need to do. But the great thing about the system is that back in the day, it used to be me figuring out the answers, or me and my husband figuring out the answers. The way that we've structured our business now is there's a group of us that come together. This is a problem. Let's get to the heart of what the actual issue is, and then let's put some actions in place to solve it. So suddenly it becomes a shared issue, which takes so much pressure off Ali and I as the owners to not have to have all the answers, to have to solve all of the problems. We all, whoever is in that team, we do it together.
Who's part of this fantastic shared accountability group? Is it like your board or other employees, or who is it?
All other employees. Right. We have different departments, so different people sit in different teams. But so even we have an SLT, me and Ellen, we have two other people, one of our senior accountants who's an associate, and then we have what we call, what an EOS term is like an integrator, which is sort of like a CEO. So I guess one of the challenges we've had back in the day is that I'm the ideas person. I'll have a million ideas every day, and then I'll throw them at my team, and they'll just be like, oh my gosh, all of these changes. So then they're trying to do all these changes, and then literally the next week I'm like, no. And so my team are getting really frustrated with me, and they're like, okay, I'm a little over this, Wyndi. So now we have a person who I tell all my ideas to, and then they hold them for a bit, and then they come back to me, okay, do we still want to do this? Or they work out the viability of it and what we're going to do, so that I don't get in the team's way with my lots of crazy ass ideas that I have.
What's the name of the role of that person?
They're called the integrator. That's what the EOS call it. You can kind of call it a CEO. They're an implementer, basically. They decide what is going to get implemented, and then they make sure that whatever gets implemented and is done.
And I feel like our conversation now is more geared towards a bit of a scaling. So I didn't quite ask you about how you started and like how you knew that this business was needed and that it's going to take off. So I would love to quickly take you back to that, and then we'll get back to the scaling questions. Is like, how did you know that your business idea is going to make money?
I didn't. My husband became a chartered accountant, and we thought he was going to get a massive pay rise with that. And then when he didn't, we went, I went, let's start our own business. I've always wanted to go into business. This sounds like a great idea. And his answer to me was, no, we will not. Okay. He just wanted to do the whole stay in a company for 10 years, become a partner and do that. Whereas I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I said to him, can you do me a favor? Just look at the numbers, do your accounting thing, do a business plan and a budget or whatever. And can you just see if it's viable? Yeah. And so, he was like, okay, we can do this. And so we did. So
you convinced him?
I convinced him.
So that was your first sales?
That was my first sales pitch. Yeah. Let's go into business.
Well, the first sales pitch is to get married.
Well, that's true. Mind you, he wanted to marry me. So that was, I didn't really have to do much of a sale.
Oh, that came easy?
Yeah, that came easy. I wish he'd asked earlier, but, a year later, that was fine.
I mean, that's a whole other question. About, working with your husband and day in and day out, and also being husband and wife and how you have that separateness. But so you basically crunched some numbers and thought, we can do this.
Yes. So we had some savings and I was working still full time. So we figured my salary would pay the bills. We had enough cash put aside for us to pay for our office space and all that sort of stuff, because we decided if you're going to start an accounting firm, people don't want to come to my house where I have 4 children and a whole bunch of clothes that need to be folded to talk about their accounting and their business. We thought we have to get an office. So we were very methodical about it, a place that had really good traffic flow, somewhere where there weren't very many visible accountants. And we chose Grey Lynn, perfect spot, right in the middle of a whole bunch of traffic. And literally we were starting to get business straight away because people saw us. We just popped up and, so they were walking in the door. So that was
awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. But then just after he quit his job, I found out I was having a baby. And so we opened our doors in July. I finished my job in December and we both went, well, we better make some money out of this. Good times.
What did you do then?
I went into help in the business, and then when I was supposed to go back from maternity leave, I didn't go back. He just said, actually, we really need you, and I stayed. So,
but you have completely different role in the business.
Completely different role. So mine is more around branding, marketing, strategy, customer service. Those sorts of things are the areas that I really focus on. HR. He really focused on the finances and the operations side of things, making sure that we're being compliant from an accounting perspective, because we're a chartered accounting firm, so we need to make sure we're meeting chartered accounting standards. So that's all. And sales, he's a great salesperson.
Having an office these days is such an unusual thing. People are actually leaving their office spaces to go to work from home or to work in a shared office space. Do you still have that office there on Grey Lynn and Grey Lynn?
No, we don't have the office anymore. So come COVID, all of us went home. We picked up our laptops and went home. And the good thing about what we had done, because we'd been quite innovative anyway, we were already all online. We'd got rid of our printer, so nothing was being printed in our office. We literally just picked up our computers, went home and kept working. Whereas I heard stories of other accounting firms and they were picking up files and taking files home. And I was just like, whoa, that's so ancient. So our team said, well, I don't want to work in the office all day, every day anymore. Let's just do this whole hybrid thing. So we left that office and we're currently in a shared space, but we have just had conversations that we don't actually even need the shared space. Our team just want to work from home. So we're going to end up moving completely remote.
Where is this foot traffic then coming from? If you're not on the main street in Grey Lynn or in a shared office space, you're all at home. How has that shifted your scaling strategy, your marketing strategy?
Early on, I learned about SEO, so search engine optimization. And we had, they have the website people who promise you the world and tell you that they can get you on the first page of Google within 6 months. Well, we had that and we paid a lot of money for it.
Right.
And then they didn't deliver. And we were like, I'm not paying you anymore. You told me 6 months. It's been 6 months. I'm not on the first page of Google. So just get me to the first page of Google. They got me to the first page of Google. I fired them and then I worked out how to do it myself. And I've been doing it myself ever since. But that has just brought in so many more leads than I think anything else ever has. That and Ali and I have just been growing our presence, we've hustled. So in the first few years, we were like networking like you wouldn't believe.
What did you do when you were networking? Where did you go? If someone is wanting to do what you do, perhaps not accounting, or maybe yes, but they're trying to figure it out, hustle, what do they do?
Join all of the local business groups, any other business group that you can get into. So we just figured out who our target audience was, which is mostly Māori and Pacific businesses. And we figured out where all they were going and we just went there. And it can be very easy to just go hide in the corner, talk to the people that you know and not actually talk to people and sell.
Yeah.
but we strategically went to go and meet certain people, or to meet a certain number of people, and to then book meetings for us to then sell to them. So because we were both salespeople, it was a little easier for us, I guess, but that's what we were doing, just getting our name out there. And
do you have any sales tips?
I think first and foremost, you just have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
If you absolutely believe in yourself and believe in the product that you have and how it will help people, so how you can add value to someone else's life through your product or your service, that's all you need. Understand what challenges that they have and how you can fix them. That's what a sale is. And we're so wrapped up in, do you want fries with that? And, I don't want to be a salesperson, like a car salesperson. Yeah. We've got this all in our head. I don't want to sell. Well, actually, you're not selling. You are just offering a service. You are offering value to someone, and they are in turn giving you value back in the form of cash.
For people who hate selling and they haven't got that understood and they hate all of the above and they don't want to do it, what if you were to teach somebody, that could take 5 hours, but if you could teach somebody how you're going to sell, what are the first things that you would think? I mean, in addition to what you just mentioned with adding value, but people just stumble on their words. They just don't know what to say, and they go, oh, blah, blah, blah. How do you fix that?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, stop making it about you. Because when you are thinking, I don't want to sell, you're not thinking about the other person. You are only thinking about yourself. So I think get out of your head, get into your heart, and all you have to do is ask questions. Like, you just start by asking questions. So what are the challenges that you're facing at the moment? Well, how does that make you feel? And, how is that impacting on this or that or everything else, So really get them to feel into their pain, because there'll be some kind of pain that's going on inside of them. And then you can just offer what you've got. Oh my gosh, I can solve that problem for you. This is how I can do it. Like, it doesn't even have to be a sales thing, and you don't have to close the deal right then and there either. And I think it's also important not to go in needing the sale. When you come in desperate, it totally shows. People know, oh my gosh, this person's just wanting the sale, and I'm just gonna, distance myself from them. But if you literally just go in your heart, just wanting to help, and you know that your product can help them, that's the simplest thing, I think. But you've just got to get out of your own head.
I'm pretty sure whoever is listening right now going, yep, that's me. And I'm just going to employ these tips. And hopefully that's going to work. So, there's lots of other salesy things, I guess, that you could do. But if you haven't got to the heart of what their problem is, and they haven't fully understood that they have a problem, because sometimes people don't even know they've got a problem. Until you've delved a bit deeper. Right. And usually people don't change unless a problem is really making an impact on somewhere or something. And if you understand what's important to somebody, so like if someone talked to me, it'd be like, well, how's that impacting your time with you and your kids? How is that impacting you being able to do things for your kids, or to go and do this, or just talk about my kids and how it's affecting me and my children, and then you're probably going to get a sale. So if you can understand what's important to someone, get to know them before you start trying to even sell anything. That's huge. I think I was speaking to somebody in a networking group recently, and he had a marketing background, and he's really fantastic. He mentioned the 7 points of marketing, and the first 3 is knowing the person, trusting the person, and then knowing the person, liking the person, and then trusting the person. And then they could try, they could buy, they could repeat, and then they could refer. It's magical. It's really inspiring to hear that, because it's just helpful, because there's no pressure when you're talking to all sorts of people, even it's not business related. It's just nice to just you don't have to pitch to your friends if you want to go and do XYZ. You just want to find out, know them a little bit more in this area, get them to trust you in this area, and then them liking you as well in that space, and then you can introduce the vision or the strategy moving forward. But yeah, in a business sense, it's process.
Yeah.
Sticking to a process really helps.
And it's building a relationship. Sometimes you may not even pitch your idea or try to sell to them in the first time that you've met them. You know, one of the things that I love to do is just meet and talk to people and connect and get to understand them.
Absolutely.
Then I connect with them on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the reason, you know, I don't do business cards anymore, and I know lots of people do, and that's cool.
Did you just say that?
I did.
No business cards.
I haven't had a business card for years and years and years and years and years, like years.
Please help convert people listening to go cardless, because I went cardless and I had to go back into having a business card, and no one really messages me through those business cards. What's the point of it?
I mean, if you really think about it, if I look back to when I was networking, I had like a drawer filled with business cards of people that I'd
there
met.
on my desk.
You know, and I'm like, oh, now who was this person again, and where did I meet them, and what did I talk about? I have no idea. I don't remember. And so I just go, well, we've met. Are you on LinkedIn? Cool. Well, I post on LinkedIn almost every day. So I know that you're going to connect with me.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see a whole bunch of my stuff over and over and over again. So that is going to keep me more in the forefront of your mind than a business card that's now sitting in someone's drawer. So, you know, I know people don't like social media, and that's a whole nother topic. But if you can connect on a platform that you are constantly putting value out into the world, they may come to you whenever they're ready. And we have to remember that not everybody, like I said before, not everyone even knows that they have a problem or that they need you. You know, there is a triangle, and there's only a very, very small percentage of people that are actually looking for your service or your product, that actually realize they've gone through this whole chain of, oh gosh, I have a problem. Now I have a problem and I've got to do something about it. Now I have a problem and I've got to do something about it, and I'm ready to start looking for somebody to do it. You know, you actually have to move people
They have
up.
awareness, but not everybody has awareness.
No, people don't know.
Sometimes you need to actually help them to, like, you know, in terms of business advisory in your work or accounting. How have you been able to help people realize that you are the answer?
Funny story. My husband is the salesperson, and when it comes particularly to business advisory, he just has the utmost faith in me, and he just pimps me out like you wouldn't believe. So he's always talking about his amazing wife and all of these great things she can do, and so he sells everybody my services, and it's
You're so lucky you've got a salesperson and a husband and two in one.
That is great. I mean, if I go back to how we do things in Te Ao Māori and in the Pacifica way, it really is about relationships. And what we say to people when we're talking to them is, I may not be the right fit for you. You may actually not be the right fit for me. But let's just have a conversation and see if we are. And if we're not, then there's nothing wrong with us still being connected and being able to network and do other things, and maybe we'll become connected later and be able to do business later. And we've had people who have come to us and then been like, okay, you guys are probably a little bit too expensive for me, or a bit more advanced than what I need. But then they've come back later and been like, actually, I'm ready for you guys now. I've been waiting all this time to be able to be ready for you, and I loved what you did. So
that's right.
I think as long as you leave them with some value, then you'll always be in the back of the mind to come back to them. But it really is just about what we call whanaungatanga, just relationships. Do we align? Are we on the same page? Can what you need help with, can I help you with that? And if all of those kind of things connect, then awesome, it's supposed to be.
I would love to get into the scaling part. How did you do it? And are you still scaling? Okay, 12 hours of conversation, and then we've got the answer. Scaling a business is really tricky because it's all about like fine timing, isn't it? Like a lot of businesses coming, therefore we need to hire, or a lot of businesses about to come, therefore we need to hire. It's the timing. How did you guys do your hiring? How do you time stuff? Or were you like, all right, we just don't know, we just do it?
To start with, very ad hoc and very mishmashed, whatever that word is. That's about exactly how it was. And I mean, to start with, it was very much, we have too much work and we cannot do this and we need to hire somebody. But then we got to a point where we were anticipating growth and then we were having to hire people to anticipate for growth. And sometimes when we did that, we got it completely wrong and we had too many people. And then there were times where we got it completely wrong and we didn't have enough people. So there is definitely a fine line. I think understanding the data is definitely one of them, and understanding productivity levels. And then on top of all of that, you don't want to overwork your team. You want to make sure that they're also growing. So they don't want to be doing the same thing for 5 years. So you've got to be doing, delegating and elevating them into roles that they want to be doing. Then you need to get other people to come in and do this other work. So we haven't always got it right. And we've got it wrong a lot of times.
When you do not get it right, when you do get it wrong, that's what I'm interested in. And not because I delight in your mistakes, but people listening going, oh my gosh, this is the problem that I am in right now. She's been in my problem. How did you do it? And I want to figure out, maybe I can get little pearls of wisdom from you. So when you did have, let's say, lots of people in your team and there was not work, what did you do? And the same thing, like when you had so much work, very little, and it was really pushing at like you just too much. How did you do it?
Yeah, well, I guess when you've got not enough team members, clients complain. Or even not enough team members, but not the right people in the right seats. And I've had that where, we've got some jobs, clients have come in, we've promised that we've been able to deliver something, and then suddenly the team that you thought was going to be able to deliver can't deliver. I've had that. It was really bad.
So you had it's a ripple effect.
Yeah. One time we lost about $250,000 worth of work because of one person who we'd hired on all sorts of promises that they could do something that they actually could not do. And it always comes back to us as the owners. So one, we didn't hire right. So what did we do wrong? We took basically a recruitment agency's promise that this person could deliver. We didn't really jump in and ask the right questions. We didn't test them to make sure that they could do it. So a whole bunch of promises, but really no proof that they could do what they could do. So we've tightened up our recruitment process. And we don't just leave it to a recruitment agency. And then also just now we've got all of our metrics and we can really see clearly. So sometimes you'd hire someone, it'll be after the 90 days, you don't even realize that actually they can't do what they're doing. Now that we've got all of the metrics and we can see, it's very clear early on. So you can have those conversations that you need to have, the training that you need to do. And some of the other things that we've done wrong is we've hired people who haven't quite had the skill set, but we actually have not had either the processes and the training or the capacity of our own time to get them to where they needed to get to. And so some people, when you get them to jump into the deep water, some will swim, some will not, and some do not like that environment at all and can end up in a way worse situation. And yes, from a business perspective, not good. But what I don't like personally is the place that it puts them, because suddenly they feel like they're failing. Suddenly they've got mental health issues, and actually that's my fault because I haven't looked after them, cared for them, given them the environment that they actually needed to be successful, because I think most people want to be successful, and it's up to us as business owners to help them to be successful. So if they're drowning, if they're not doing well, I've either not hired right or I've not supported them in their journey. So yeah, we've had lots of kind of issues. And then when you have too many people, like what happened in COVID. So in COVID we lost
too many people.
Yeah, in COVID we lost a 6-figure contract with the government, and suddenly I had to let go of 2 people. One resigned because they couldn't do the work from home anyway with their family circumstances, so that was a little easier. The other person, we had to go through the redundancy process, and super hard, especially when everybody is struggling already and then they're struggling to find another job afterwards. So lots of counselling support and stuff around, as well as whatever else that we could have done to help them. But yeah.
You've got a team in Samoa.
I do.
How exciting is that?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's very challenging being in a different country, but it's very cool.
I mean, I hear a lot of people having offshore staff in places like Philippines. You know, we were talking about that the other day. And out of all the countries, Samoa, what challenges, I suppose, reflecting on that journey, most unexpected challenge that you've faced in that space? And how did it reshape your perspective?
Yeah. The biggest challenge that we've had in Samoa in particular is the lack of understanding of what outsourcing is. They're a country that exports taro, you know, like they're all product based, and when you tell them that you outsource, they don't get outsourcing of services. They don't get, I export people's brains or people's services. Just look at me very blankly like I don't understand. and the problem is that that's not just in the community, like that's a government level. You know, some people in government get it and some people don't get it at all. And so it can be very hard to get allies on your side when I'm not in country all the time. My husband was born there, which is why we decided Samoa. And it aligned with our kaupapa. We were outsourcing to India, and I said to my husband, this doesn't fit. We talk about how we're here for Māori and Pacific people, and we're sending our work and our money offshore to India. So we set up in Samoa because the infrastructure was there, and the person we were talking to at the time who was in government got it. So when we're trying to get funding or just opportunities or conversations, it can be very difficult when there's this complete lack of understanding of what actually we're about, and then also trying to educate potential team members around what we're doing. And you're not actually doing Samoan accounts for Samoan businesses, you're actually doing accounting for New Zealand businesses. You know, so just that whole education piece around what even outsourcing is, it's been a challenge.
Do you still have a team in Samoa?
Yeah, still have a team. Still going strong.
What's your vision on that? Is that something that you would love for it to grow, or is it something that you see it as a short-term project and then you might end it later?
It's actually an area that we're going to focus more on. So I've spent probably the most of the last 12 months focusing in that area, and Ellie's starting to move more into focusing on the outsourcing as well. And we're in conversations and setting up businesses also in other countries. So across the Pacific, we've set up our company in Fiji. We haven't started hiring there yet. Outsourcing is really big in Fiji, which is awesome. That kind of happened after we'd started in Samoa. So I'm like, oh yeah, see, we were onto something. But then we're going to also grow outsourcing into other areas. We might still do some work in India and the Philippines, but we're looking at other countries in the world that can bring us something that's a bit different to what's currently being offered in the market. But no, we're definitely going to stay doing outsourcing. It's going to be the way for business, I think, with everything that's happening at the moment, and especially in the New Zealand economy. There is a lack of there is a shortage of staff members in particular industries in New Zealand. A lot of people are leaving to go to Australia, and I really feel like businesses are going to need to look after their current team members. They're still going to want growth, but I think business is still going to be tight for a while. So they're going to need to have something done, or some sort of work that's going to be done that they're not going to be wanting paying a lot of money for, that they don't have the AI capabilities for or want to get into AI with yet or whatnot. So I feel like more businesses in New Zealand are going to start to outsource some of the, administration-y type stuff, or the things that are a little bit easier can be done offshore or remotely, so that the current team can do more of the face-to-face stuff. they're selling or they're adding value, just really helping their customers to see the value in their product or their service so that they continue to buy from them, because it's going to be so important, particularly over this next 12 months. Australia, they're all out, not all of them, but, big in outsourcing in Australia. They don't really bat an eyelid. Whereas here in New Zealand, they're so worried about the impact it's going to have on other Kiwis and, are you going to take jobs away from other New Zealanders? That's not really the idea. The idea is to fill a role that you can't find here, or that it can help to support the team that you already have here. So your team don't want to be doing some of that stuff.
Yeah. But it has enriched your business, having people being outsourced from places like Samoa.
Yeah.
Yep.
So not really heard of that much in the accounting industry, but we'd already done 75% of our work before the end of September. I spoke to an accounting firm yesterday that aren't even at that, and it's already almost the end of the financial year. We're already over 90% of our accounts filed. So my team are now adding value. They're doing budgeting and they're doing business planning sessions and advisory work and working with clients now. Whereas a lot of other accounting firms are still trying to get tax returns done so that they can meet the 31st of March deadline. So it's definitely helped. And my team would much prefer to sit down with a client and explain the numbers and help them and to support them than to be sitting at their computer typing up a whole bunch of numbers and making sure everything balances on zero.
It's profound, I think, and it's really inspiring to have a team in Samoa working for you. I have not heard of that before. You are the first business that does that. That is really cool.
Thank you.
And I have so many questions for you. I do want to jump into the personal juggle of your life and your family and your business and your multitude of other involvements and commitments that you have, which people can read online and can read in the description of the video, because there's a lot of them. Have you always been a high achiever, or has this higher sense of being a high achiever has grown, just grown, like you've built it that way? Because some people do it and then some people don't do it, and you're one of them. You do it. You've got so much going on.
Oh yeah. No, I've always been a high achiever. When I was at primary school, I was a black belt in karate. I represented West Auckland and Waitakere in netball, and I was the captain. I played Auckland age group for cricket. I've won multiple New Zealand cycling titles and Auckland titles. I represented New Zealand twice for cycling.
It's a litany of things, and this is just the beginning. There's a whole heap of other things.
Yeah.
So why do you do all of that? Why, like right now? Why do that?
I kind of have this thing: if you're going to do it well. Do it well or don't do it at all. And I have this, my keynote talk that I talk about is to live fully and die empty.
Yeah.
And I just think, man, I just want to experience everything that I can possibly experience in the world and do it to the best of my ability. And I guess I care about my reputation. I do care about what other people think about me in some which ways. I want people to look at me positively, but also I feel as a Māori woman, I'm a role model. Even if I don't want to be, I am. And, people look up to me and they see all of the things that I've been able to achieve, all of the challenges that I've been able to overcome. Have had cancer 3 times. So, and I've got my face tattooed, and even if I talk to that, one of the reasons I got my mokokauai wasn't actually for me. And so leading up to me getting it, my nana, who passed away when I was at intermediate, she'd come into my dreams and she'd be telling me I have to get this done. And I kept telling her, no, I'm not going to get it done. I'm not tattooing my face. I'm a pretty vain person. I like, what I look like. But then the message came through, this isn't for me. The places that I get to go to, the stages that I get to stand on, the people that I get to meet, the influence that I have, having my mokokauai, it shows people that I love who I am, that I appreciate my heritage, that I'm proud to be a wahine Māori, and that I hope that rubs off onto other people. And so I feel like I kind of don't have a choice, but I feel like I do have to do things well, because I do feel like people are watching, and I do feel like I have to make, be a good impression. I have to be a good role model, because I didn't always feel like I had them when I was growing up. And so if someone's looking at me or looking at their life and they're going, can I do this? And then they can see that I have, hopefully that's enough inspiration for them to go, I can do it too.
Well, that's really beautiful. Thank you. I have a trillion other questions I wanted to ask you, but I would like to touch on your experience with having a health condition and facing, cancer and being able to fight it through. How has that really impacted you as a person?
It was one of the reasons that I decided to really niche down in my business and focus on helping Māori and Pacific people. It made me unapologetic. Like, when I say that I do want, care about my reputation, to a degree, I don't really care too much about what other people think of me. You're either going to like me or you don't like me. But you're going to like me for the same reason that someone else doesn't like me. So I'm not even going to win, so I don't bother to try. I'm just going to be unapologetically me. I'm going to do things the way that I want to do things, including how I do business. And a lot of people will disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. It's worked well for me. And so, I think getting cancer just made me go, you know what, I worry about some of the things that I just shouldn't really worry about, and other people's opinions is one of them. And I have a genetic condition, so I guess my chances of reoccurrence are higher than other people, only slightly, but still higher. And, I watched my dad die and my koko die all within 3 months of each other. And then 3 months after that, I had cancer. And my sister, in between all that, she also got cancer and she passed away recently.
Oh, sorry to hear.
She's 6 years younger than me. And I just think, wow, my life could just be gone tomorrow. I could get hit by a car or a bus, or, my plane could crash, whatever, And so I just wanted to make sure that I've done everything that I wanted to do in life the way that I wanted to do it. And I've seen people die with regret, and I just don't want to do that. So, if I died tomorrow, I'd be really happy with how I've lived my life, the things that I've done, the impact that I've made. Would I want it to be longer? Yeah, probably. But I can't control that. And so I'm not going to try. I'm just going to make sure that every day counts. And that's really what, when you face your own mortality. And I guess that's the message that I really hope that people also take, particularly from my talk, is don't wait until you're facing death to realize that you need to make some changes. You might be lucky, like myself, who doesn't die from getting cancer, and you may get that chance. But I have seen people who have not had the chance, who have then sat there and wished they'd done things differently.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Well, that was a perfect way of taking us to the end of the episode. I would love to explore more of that with you again in the future, and there's so much more to discuss. But if we want to keep it to an hour, sometimes I don't go over an hour, but for now, thank you so much for pouring your heart out and giving us all these insights. Kia kaha to you and to your family, and I appreciate you, and go well with Wimana and all the things that you do in your career as well.
Ngā mihi nui ki a koe, Mina. Thank you so much.
Kia ora.